Welcome to the pot. I'm DS Elias. This is where culture meets the kitchen. Whether we're talking food, psychology, spirit, or society, we always bring it back to what feeds us culturally and literally. So grab a plate, pull up a chair, and let's stir the... Oh, I'm having some difficulties. All right. Heard. I unmuted. Okay. Thank you for being here. Let me know where you're watching from. Hold on. Somebody's making dinner. I could smell it from here. Let me know what you're cooking. Did you have dinner? Are you going to make dinner? Let me know what you guys are eating. What are you doing for July 4th weekend? Are you guys barbecuing or I don't know. What do you do on July 4th? What's your tradition? Let me know. I'm DS Elias. This is the Food Plane YouTube channel. You're watching The Pot. We're here every Thursday night live, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have a show, America's Best Food Destinations, of which episode 1 came out recently. We visited the birthplace of the hamburger. Yeah, the birthplace of the hamburger. Louis Lunch has been around since the 1800s, and they're still serving the hamburger the same way they did in the 1800s. Here's a quick clip when you get a chance. Check it out. It's available to watch right now. Well, there you have it. A amuse-bouche, an appetizer, an hors d'oeuvre, if you would. Anyway, let's see who's in the chat today. We have Of Salt and Silence Poetry. Hi, DS. Hi, passengers of the food plane. Excited for this doubleheader. Yeah, we were live last night with the great queen of pop culture, Dr. Tashi. She was here yesterday. We have Valerie listening from California. Wow, how's the weather over there, Valerie? Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Oh, wow. G.R. Houston. Jack is in his house. Good evening, she says. Nice to see you, G. Hope you're doing well. Breakfast for dinner tonight, pancakes and chicken sausage. I like that. It's like a good diner, you know. You have breakfast all day. I like that. I dig that. Breakfast is my favorite meal. So I dig that. G says tuning in from Georgia. From Georgia? Really? Okay. So you're not in Texas today. You must be on the job. Georgia. That's nice. That is really nice. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so here is today's trivia. I'll give you the answer shortly. All right, so here's a segment we like to call Snack to the Future. All right, so let's see what we have here. Oh boy, the sugar bomb of the 80s and 90s, huh? No wonder so many people are so unhealthy today. So check these out. Oh wow, look at the what were those called? The buttons that used to get a piece of paper with it. It was the only time it was acceptable to eat paper. Remember that? You used to try to peel them off and a piece of paper came with it. Tab. Wow, I remember Tab. What's that? Gushers, Pop Rocks. Wow, Pop Rocks. The ring, of course, that's a classic. Pop-Tarts. I like Pop-Tarts. I don't eat them as much anymore because I am more health conscious. But Pop-Tarts, I toasted. I like my Pop-Tarts. How many of you remember any of these? Let me know in the comments. I'm very interested in knowing. Let's check out the comments. Paper dots. That's it. Yeah, of salt and yeah, paper dots. Yep. Dr. Tashi, who is here with us, the queen of pop culture, is in the house. Dr. Tashi says, "Good evening, all." I loved kudos. Yeah, those were good. I liked it. It was one of those things that was bad, good, good, bad. Back in the 80s, everything was like bad, but some of it was good, but it was bad. Oh, it was bad, good. Okay. So of Salt and Silence says ring pops, girls' first jewelry. Yeah, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. All right. So listen, tomorrow. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. Next week, Dr. Tashi will return for part 2 of our discussion. We're going to be talking tech and the life of radio. Is it on? Is it on? Is it in the? What do they call the ICU? Is it dwindling? Will there come a time where we won't have radio anymore? Wow, that's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm really looking forward to that. Let's look at the chat real quick. GR Houston Jack, they tried to act like kudos were healthy. Those were glorified candy bars. Yes, yes, I totally agree. Totally agree. How many things that they try to pass on us as healthy back in the day, and it wasn't. They would take out the sugar, but then they would put other fats, or they would take out the fats and put sugars in replacing. Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, that's pretty messy. That is absolutely pretty messy. So Dr. Tashi, thank you for being here, and she will be with us. If you missed the show yesterday, it is available to watch. We had a blast talking about the past, the 80s and the 90s, and I'm looking forward to part 2 next week. So that's going to be very exciting. All right, what is the answer? Well, what was the question? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? I'm going to wait. Let me see what you guys think. G says, but they were great, Dr. Tashi. Of Salt and Silence. Excuse me. Everything. No one should eat the Cheerios of the 80s as breakfast. It's sugar on sugar. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, when I was in high school, Dr. Tashi says they used to sell these things called health cookies. They thought because it had oatmeal and raisins that it was healthy. The damn things were still cookies. All right, of Salt and Silence says white beans. All right, what is the answer? Yeah, white beans. You guys got it. White beans have a lot. Carolyn could speak more to that, but yeah, has a lot of potassium, and we know that's good for high blood pressure. Okay, so I'm getting ready to. It's a night full of health and nutrition. Bring your questions. Get ready because the one and only Carolyn Nichols is about to join us. So I'm going to show you this, and we'll be right back with Carolyn. Get ready, food lovers. The food plane is taking off. I'm DS Elias, and I'm bringing you to the best food destinations in America. From legendary bites to hidden gems, we're tasting it all one plate at a time. I'm eating my way across America to find the best food this country has to offer. Legendary pizza, iconic eats, and maybe a few calories. Okay, a lot of calories. So subscribe now and bring your appetite. Napkins not included. All right, so that's going to be Saturdays, 11 a.m. here on the Food Plane. Just before I bring Carolyn in, I forgot to talk about the foodie news of the day. So I'll get this done real quick. The citizens of Pittsburgh came together and raised $1.5 million for their local food bank. the citizens of Pittsburgh came together on their own and raised $1.5 million for their own local food bank. That's pretty cool. Aldi's is launching special July items such as orange cream cookies. Okay. Beef prices are spiking 40% ahead of Independence Day, and Nestle announced that they will remove artificial food coloring by the end of the year. And Hawaii now requires clear labels on ahi tuna, and those are today's big foodie updates. All right, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Toronto, Canada, certified holistic nutritionist, the one, the only, Carolyn Nichol. Thank you for being here. Thank you for
I don't get the electronic audience clap.
The clap, oh man, I'm still getting used to this, Caroline. So that's going to take me a little time.
It's all good.
I'm doing what I can handle right
now.
now.
Your personal clap was just wonderful.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
The welcomes in the chat are great. Hi, Dr. Tachi. Wonderful. I'm so glad that you're here.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're here all the time, Dr. Tachi.
Yes.
And anyway, it's good. Thank you, Houston, for that round of applause too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Carolyn, how did you get involved in health and nutrition?
Really? You want my story?
Oh, please. That's what we're here for. Yeah.
So, I mean, listening to what you were talking about with all the foods of the 80s, I mean, for sure. I love that comment. That was a girl's first jewelry. No question. The big rings. I'd for sure have one a week. There's no question. I'd eat all of the bracelets that were candies and the necklace at the same time.
Right.
And I was allowed. I was fully allowed.
Had bugs all around your neck.
Do whatever you want with your allowance money. Anyway, but so, I really grew up on, white bread, bologna, cupcakes, and 2% milk. Like that was really the staple of my diet, and that was healthy. So that is the way that I grew up. But for sure, I was stomach aches regularly, headaches regularly, immune system that wasn't always on par, lots of sick days from school. And I was having some hormone imbalances that couldn't, in fact, everybody was in the household, if I really think about it. So not really knowing any health information and doctor visits after doctor visits, not being able to pinpoint where all of these issues are coming from. I was on a spiritual journey when I was actually most of my life. And I found myself at a church at 17 years old on my own, just trying to find out truth and follow God. And after being baptized, I think I was baptized at 17. This doctor came up from Tennessee and he did a health seminar at this church that I was at. And I was very new to the church. It was a Seventh-day Adventist church, and I was very new to it. And I'm listening to this doctor who actually was drafted as an NBA. He was drafted for the NBA, got rheumatoid arthritis, decided that because his basketball career was gone, he was going to become a doctor to learn how to reverse rheumatoid arthritis, only to find out that, according to the medical system, it's not reversible. So he dug deep into natural medicine and the 8 laws of health that I teach. He learned them as well. And he that day did a whole seminar and, basically had told me the whiter the bread, the quicker you're dead. And if you eat meat or dairy or you drink pop or juice, like this is the staple of my diet he's talking about, that you will be sick and you won't be well and you will have disease. And so I'm this 17-year-old like, what? Meat is bad for you? What? I shouldn't drink milk? Like cheese is wrong? What is happening?
Wow.
Oh, but I was so convinced. He was so convincing and he was so humble. And he brought people up on the platform one by one, like who said, I've got water in my knees, I've got diabetes. And like a prophet, he was like, well, that's because you're probably eating this, this, and that. And they're like, yeah, you're right, I am.
Wow.
So he was so convincing. And I've learned today that I could sound like a prophet too, just because you know food science.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's in his almost 90s today and still alive and kicking.
Wow.
I went back home that day and told my parents that I'm just like, I'm never eating meat or dairy again. And this was 30 years ago.
Wow.
So more than 30 years ago, almost 35 years ago, I'm just over 50.
Wow.
So, you know, to not eat meat or dairy 35 years ago was like, my parents are like, you're going to die. There's actually nothing left to eat. I'm like, it's okay. So the church offered a cooking class. I went to the cooking class. I learned how to use quinoa and make tofu and turn beans into fantabulous meals. So the church really equipped me to follow this plant-based diet.
Yeah.
And I just never stopped since.
Wow.
And I noticed that within a few years, it's like no more stomach aches, no more headaches, the hormone imbalance had resolved. Everything just started to change. So why would I take any different path?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So that leads me to my next question concerning, so you're vegan?
I'm not a vegan.
Okay.
Because I eat honey. And, you know,
my husband strict.
Bought me
no honey.
My husband bought me a leather jacket. I'm like in the early years of our marriage, I'm still going to wear it. So a vegan wouldn't touch anything animal or insect. So I'm a whole food plant-based. I have a whole food plant-based diet.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would offend a vegan if I told them I'm a vegan and yet I still put honey in my tea.
Gotcha.
Which I don't do regularly, but I'm okay with honey.
Okay. Raw honey?
Raw, unpasteurized honey, yes. I'm okay if I have to kiss a bee. It's just bee spit, and I'm fine with that.
Okay. Hey, so what are the health benefits in short? What's the health benefits of raw honey as opposed to the junk that most of us get?
Yeah, here's the reality on honey. Like I maybe have a teaspoon a month. So you don't need a lot of honey, number one. It's medicinal, it's antimicrobial. It has a high level of sugar, but because there's so many minerals in it and it's high in enzymes, so it's actually really amazing for digestion and healing, but you don't need it often. If you need a small boost of energy, for sure, you could just, take a little bit of honey, but really our bees are in distress. And because we are abusing honey, we're abusing it. Yeah. So it should be used judiciously and medicinally, but very, very healthy if you're fighting, especially if you have a sore throat. A small bit of honey consumed slowly is really helpful, and it can help to heal digestion issues as well.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Many years ago, I worked as a chef at a vegan vegetarian restaurant. I never worked in one prior to that. And it was a fine dining restaurant, but it was all vegan and vegetarian.
Wow.
Yeah, even the pastries and everything. But I learned everything so quick. I learned how to work with teff flour to make crepes. I used to work with tempeh, seitan. We did burgers using black beans. So my point in that is that a lot of people get this conception that it's a misconception that vegan and vegetarian food is it's not exciting. And I would beg to differ. If you would have come to our restaurant back then, you would have been blown away at how good vegan and vegetarian and whole food plant eating can be if it's done correctly. So it can be it's a lot of fun. So
it's a lot. In fact, one thing I will say that I remember having this conversation with my family early on in my teenage years when so I kind of took over the cooking at home. Because I wanted to try out all these recipes and everybody was happy to eat plant-based. And that was one of the first things our family started talking about, is that there's so much flavor in these foods.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
we were just used to eating ground beef and pasta sauce or chicken and broccoli. Now we were making all these dishes that were just, it was so versatile. Like, you know, you make something with chicken and it tastes like chicken.
Yes.
But you mix with plant-based eating, it's like flavors just come alive.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Tashi says vegan food is phenomenal. Right, right.
Phenomenal.
When it's done right, it is. I don't there's a question here from Of Salt and Silence Poetry. It may be shifting gears, but we'll hone it right back and we'll continue. So, if you could give one piece of nutritional advice for parents, great question, with daughters starting their cycles, what would it be?
Make sure there is zero dairy in their diet. Zero dairy, not cheese, not yogurt, not 1%, 2%, or no percent milk. Dairy products cause cramping in females in a terrible way. So I would just get rid of all the dairy. They don't need it for calcium. They don't need it for anything. It messes with the hormones. And as long as they're eating almonds, beans, green leafy vegetables, I mean, there is so much calcium available in plant foods. They do not need any kind of dairy products. And if they're going to have any, just because they can't keep away from it, make sure there is none 3 weeks before they have their cycle.
Wow. Wow. Jazzy's in the house. Good to see you, Jazzy. Good evening, beautiful people. Yeah, thank you, Jazzy. Wow. So, that brings me to another point. Good segue here. So 2 years ago, Carolyn, I started this YouTube channel. And my plan when I started the channel was to do what I'm doing now 2 years ago. So as soon as I had started, I wanted to do this. I wanted to do America's Best Food Destinations. But what happened was just as I got started, it was like everything came at me at once as far as life's challenges. There were challenges coming from this way and that way. Usually I have everybody has challenges, but it's very rare where you're surrounded by them in every aspect of your life. And it was like, whoa, what's going on? All of this happening to me at once. My parents had passed away, and that was extremely tough for me. And so what happened was I chose to eat, and I was tearing sandwiches up. I was eating buckets of ice cream. I was emotionally eating, no doubt about it. I gained over 100 pounds. This is all recent. And 2 years ago. So right when I started this. And so I had gained so much weight. I never in my life gained weight. In fact, some people know, some people don't, that I did modeling for Cosmopolitan back in Manhattan. Yeah. So anyway, would you believe that? So yeah, I used to have a 6-pack. Now I got a keg. Well, actually, I got a can. I'm working on it. I'm doing so much better. But here's my point is I had gained so much weight, Carolyn, that I had no idea that high blood pressure was on its way. Well, I almost died. This is an exclusive. I almost died 2 times because I had no idea what was going on. I never was overweight. I'm still in the process of losing weight even now. But so here's what happened was, oh man, I remember this night. I was feeling so faint. I thought I was going to die, and I was on my way for that happening. So my blood pressure was over. Check this out. The top number, over 200. I feel like I'm peekabooing here. Hold on. So it was over 200. And what is the bottom number? Diastolic. Am I right? Yeah. So that one was over 100. I couldn't stand up.
That's
I was
a
like,
death sentence.
Exactly. And I was, you know what I did? I called out to the Lord, and I don't know what happened. Instantly, just in the ambulance, I did have to go to the hospital. They did give me some medicines, but they saved my life, and they explained to me what was going on. They said, yo, are you taking any medicines for blood pressure? And I was like, nah, man, I never was overweight my whole life. And that happened. So then 2 weeks later, the same thing happened again. Oh my God, the same thing happened again. And when that happened, I said, that's it. I am going to make changes in my life. And the hard part of me making those changes was looking for alternatives. And I think that if so, I don't like to use the word diet. The word die isn't, I don't like to use the word diet. I like to use the word adjustment. So I began making adjustments. You were just talking about no dairy. Now I'm gonna tell you something. That was tough for me. That
Yeah.
was tough for me. But here's the great news. You know what I do now? I make my own almond milk. Now, you might tell me if it's healthy or not, because I will need an alternative. If somebody says it's not best for you to have this or that, I will need an alternative. So at least that is something that I do is I do have milk once in a while, not as much. It's not a practice. I've changed my practice. So
Right.
instead of ground beef, most of the time I'll have ground duck. I'll have a lot of chicken breast. I don't have anything with nitrates. And I still like me a sandwich every now and then. I'm not giving up pizza. I'm sorry, I'm not that strong. The Lord's still working on me, but I ain't giving up no pizza. I'm not giving up a lot of stuff. However, it's not part of my life like it once was. It was
Right.
it was my practice to eat that way. So, what do you say to those who get discouraged when it comes to, like, you're saying no dairy, you're talking about no cheese? That's a big one for so many people, and I don't want people to get discouraged and be like, oh well, so what do you say to people who might feel a little overwhelmed or discouraged when we tell them, hey, it's not dairy is, you might want to stay away from that?
Well, first of all, just like wow on your journey. And, it's serious. High blood pressure is, nicknamed the silent killer for a reason because
Yeah,
you don't even know it's creeping up on you.
yeah,
And like, so it's like, I'm sure you were in a dehydrated state and
yeah,
blood clog and all of that.
yeah.
So I'm glad you're coming out of it. I'm glad you've made some changes.
Yes.
Um, you know, for me, there's there's a few things that I'll say. These are hard, fast no's, and other things that I say, they don't have such a huge impact. But I will tell you that like dairy products they shouldn't be human food. Not the way we pasteurize them here in America, North America, South America. And cheese, unfortunately, is the killer of them all. Like it's such a big deal. And so I mean, go back 30 years and there wasn't any alternatives. I could go to a Chinese food store and try to find some tofu. I could get some dried beans, but you're not finding any kind of replacements for a vegan diet. Not today. Today you can get vegan cheese,
Yeah,
shredded cheddar,
yeah.
mozzarella. Are they wonderful? They're not super wonderful, but I would say use those slices for a grilled cheese sandwich if you need it. Use that on your pizza if you need it. Um, I really just don't make the compromise when it comes to dairy products. They're so bad for you. You want like
Wow.
I'm a full plant-based eater, but if you want to eat chicken or fish, it's not going to send you to the grave. But dairy products, like they are really, 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 really bad for you. I mean, they have prolactin, so they have growth hormones in them, so unnatural growth. Because of the high level of hormones inside dairy products, because it's breast milk for a baby cow, so it's trying to take a little baby cow and grow it up to a mother cow or bull very quickly.
Wow.
So rapid growth hormones, and those hormones mess with our hormones. And in fact, science will show you that it messes with you on a DNA level.
Wow.
So dairy products just should not be food for humans. We're not baby cows, and I don't think anybody watching today needs breast milk. So whether you want to turn that breast milk into cheese or ice cream or 1%, 2% milk or creamer for your coffee, which is another conversation, but like really, I'd say hold the cheese on the pizza. Many pizza places have the vegan cheese.
Yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
you're wanting to have it once in a while, it's up to you. But
Right.
that is just one thing that I would say is that hard, fast no is like to go dairy free.
Wow, that's a big one. But I like what you said, and that was my point. That I've been able to make changes because I've made it fun. I'm not thinking
Mhm.
salads all the time. I'm thinking maybe a lentil soup, uh, maybe a lentil stew, a beef stew, and there's so many things you can have that is really delicious and healthy. So don't get discouraged if you need to be on a, I hate the word diet, but if you want to call it that, you could always make it fun. It doesn't have to be scary. Like for
No.
like the restaurant that I was working at, there was a pastry chef there that did only vegan, fine dining, upscale vegan and vegetarian pastries. She did a cheesecake using tofu and
Right.
no sugar. My God, it tasted better than cheesecake. So if you do it right, it really, there's some great vegan vegetarian restaurants all across the United States. And yeah, that's it's important to know that you can have fun with your adjustment. It doesn't have to be, oh, I don't want to eat salads all the time. Well, you don't have to. Do some
No.
research. There's a lot of material out there where it can be a lot of fun. So Carolyn, how important is it for all of us to consider what we are putting in our bodies, how that determines how long we live, and considering the longevity of those in Japan? They have the highest population of centennials in the world.
Yeah, the blue zone study is real. And the common denominator of all of these centurions are that they follow mostly a plant-based diet. They have a very good, healthy social life. I mean, there's a common denominator with all of them. But one thing is that where that study was taken in Japan in the mountains are people that are almost 90% plant-based, right? So what does it matter? And by the way, if I can just, for those that are listening and are saying, I can't give up cheese, I can give up milk, I can, but that's because cheese has a chemical called tyramine. And tyramine not only gives you nightmares, but
Wow.
it creates addiction.
Wow.
So most of us feel like we can't give up cheese because we're actually addicted. Once you
Wow.
break that cycle of addiction, your desire for cheese goes away. I was a cheese fanatic. I mean, I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
But anyway, turning to the other question, what I want people to think about is how does your eyes see? How do your lungs breathe? How does your heart beat? How does your liver and your pancreas do its function? Every single function in the human body needs nutrients. Your body doesn't produce them, it has to get them.
Wow.
Okay. So when we think about that, what kind of nutrients am I putting in my body? So think about if you ate an apple today, this apple literally becomes part of your eyes, your liver, and your pancreas
Wow.
because the nutrients in that apple are going to be broken down to their molecular state to be brought to all the organs in the body so that they can do their function, they can repair, they can, have all the antioxidants that your immune system can fight viruses. I mean, every single function to produce insulin, to produce all of your hormones needs nutrients that you're giving it from food. So when you're about to eat that French fries or that pizza, you got to think
Wow.
about this is going to become part
Yeah.
of my eyes, of my
Wow.
brain, of
Wow.
my liver, like
Wow.
literally becomes a part of your organs,
Wow. We
right?
are what we eat. Huh?
Literally,
Yeah.
literally. So that kind of, before you eat something, is this going to do me harm or is this going to do me good?
Wow.
And let me tell you, it doesn't mean that you may never have that ice cream again or that pizza, but kind of what you said in the beginning is that doesn't become the lifestyle anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Most of the time, if you're making good choices, your few off days or your treats here or there, your body can handle it and deal with it. But when
Yeah.
that becomes the lifestyle, That's what you're made up of. You're made up of French fries and burgers and pizza. So how does that function in the body? Well, since they are
Wow.
nutrient void foods, your body's using all this saturated fat to try to like function. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Wow.
We become a mess. And then we
Wow.
wonder why we don't have energy and
Wow.
why our blood pressure's high or diabetes up.
Wow.
And the doctor gives you a medication to fix the issue when really what you needed was a bowl of salad and a glass of water.
Oh man. Wow. Wow. They're not getting to the root of the problem. They're just attacking the fruit, not the root. Wow. Okay. We have a question here. Salt and Silence says, what about modern? Oh, that's going to change the subject a little bit, but I know you have another question about the cheese. We'll get back to that other one. Is goat or sheep milk better? And then I have a question to add to that. Is the cheese issue, is it a difference in cheese in America than in Europe? Is that the problem, or it's just cheese no matter where it comes from?
All very good questions. So goat or sheep milk has like almost no lactose. So you're going to digest it better. And they're smaller animals, right? So less hormones, right? So a baby cow has to be this big fast, but a baby sheep or a baby goat has to be this big fast. So less hormones in sheep milk or goat milk and less lactose, if any lactose at all. Okay. But it's still hormones that are like our babies still don't go to adult size in a year. So there's still hormones, rapid growth hormones, but it might be a little better. Not might be, it is a little better than cow's milk for sure. But I still personally don't think we should be drinking the breast milk of another species as an adult. Like
That's
if I couldn't give my baby breast milk, I might give it sheep or goat milk for sure, only
wow.
until they don't need breast milk anymore, right? So
Wow.
that's one. And then as far as you had a question as well, is what was your question?
The difference in American dairy and European dairy, because it's two different worlds. What we allow here, Europe does not allow.
So the difference is the pasteurization process.
Okay.
And that's the truth of the matter, is that when dairy products are consumed unpasteurized, they're less harmful for the body. And so the reality is that heating milk at extreme high heats to kill the bacteria creates an elevation of phosphorus. So now what happens is when you consume dairy products in any form, the amount of calcium that it has in it is bound because of the high level of phosphorus, because phosphorus molecules bind to calcium molecules. And so now you have this calcium floating around in your body that can't get into your bones. And because of the nature of milk and dairy products, it makes your blood acidic. So now you're leaching calcium. So dairy products in America are just a mess. In Europe, for sure, they have a lot more FDA rules and there's less hormones being pumped into the animals. They're grazed better. They're not eating genetically modified soy and corn. So is it better for you? Probably you could digest that a lot better and it would bring you less harm. Are you still going to get the hormones involved with it? Are you still going to get the acidity that it causes? Yes, to some degree, because it is, the nature of dairy products. But if you can, get it unpasteurized, feed it grass, you're still going to have trouble, but not as much trouble as you are going to have with America.
Okay, that's good stuff, Carolyn. That's good stuff. Okay, please, if you guys have any questions, we all want to be healthier. So ask your questions. Maybe you know somebody struggling with some illness, a family member. They're ask away. She's here. So also here's if you need a more deeper, more personal consultation, Carolyn's doing something very special for every one of the passengers of the food plane tonight. If you just tell her that you saw her on the pot, $49 instead of $110. you get my goodness, that's more than half off. That's
And
more.
I will tell you, that's Canadian prices. So if we've got US people, it's even less. Divide that 49 by 1.4.
Wow, what a deal. People, that's a big deal. You can get a personal consultation bespoke to you with Carolyn, and she offers so many other things. We'll get into that in a little bit. Somebody has a question here. So, in short, what about modern wheat?
It's so genetically modified. I know that, again, Europe has different FDA standards, and they have much better rules and guidelines. But modern wheat is not food.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's not food, and you shouldn't consume it ever.
What about einkorn?
It's better, but I don't believe it's perfect because I've consumed it and it doesn't digest perfectly well.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting. For those of you who don't know what einkorn is, I not until 2 years ago, I never heard of it either. So einkorn is, so before everything got industrialized, the einkorn is in its original state. It hasn't been modified, it hasn't been messed with in any way. So it's wheat the way ancient people had it before this age of GMOs and genetically modifying things. So what we now have is AP flour, but in ancient times they used einkorn. So many people, there's different opinions. You've heard Carolyn, so I'm going to stick with what she tells me. Okay.
It's for sure a much better option, but I don't know if it's because our system has become so abrasive that when the body sees wheat, it doesn't react well. Because we have messed up wheat so bad, the body has its own computer system, its own diagnosis, it has its own diagnostics. Wow. And so when it sees something that is causing trouble, it remembers that. So I'm not sure if the einkorn problem is that when somebody has it, they still have some inflammation because it's remembering that wheat genetically modified was giving them inflammation, if that makes sense.
Wow.
Right? So I don't know if we never genetically modified, I think the einkorn would never give us issues. But I think because we've had so much genetic modification that the body doesn't accept the einkorn very well. That's my thoughts.
Wow. That's amazing. All right. High blood pressure. Excuse me. What are the dangers, Carolyn, and what are the causes?
Well, here's the thing is that you have to think about what is high blood pressure. High blood pressure is the amount of energy and force that it takes the heart and the arteries to move the blood properly around the system. Your heart beats naturally and there is a force, but it's a healthy force so when it elevates above that force, it's working too hard. And when it sends off that blood from the heart, now your arteries, which are also muscular, have a force. And it's like a ripple effect. And so they have to also contract and constrict so that the blood can then go around the entire body. Now, they too have a certain force and power and muscular power that is healthy for, I'm talking about arteries and heart, like, they're not an inanimate object when they're not people, but they have a force that is healthy for those arteries, okay? So high blood pressure is when you're going above that force. And what's the danger? Well, you exhaust the heart. And those muscles, they actually can get abrasions on them for going too hard, full exhaustion. And then the problem too is that the big problem also is that your kidneys and your liver, well, they have to filter your blood like almost 8 liters every hour. Wow. And your kidney is kind of like a baseball glove When that heart presses and pushes and pumps the blood, it's like someone just pows and throws a baseball and the glove catches it. Well, inside your kidneys, there's little glomerular filtration tubes, very, very fragile little tubulars. And so when that blood pressure hits it, it breaks down those filters because it wasn't designed for that. So now we start losing kidney function. And when that happens, your blood doesn't get filtered properly. So high blood pressure is causing kidney to not function, which means you have extra toxins in your blood that you can't even get rid of. I mean, it just sends a chain reaction throughout your entire system. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And wow. How do we lower blood pressure and the connection? And is there a connection with insulin resistance?
So let me first just respond to the how to lower blood pressure is think about the human body. If you do get bigger, as you mentioned, you had put on weight. So now the body, imagine saying, okay, Carolyn, every day you've got to run, 50-meter dash and back. Do that 3 times every day. My body's going to get used to doing that. It's going to be like no sweat after a while. I go out, I run that, do that at lunchtime and dinner. Now, if I say well, now it's 60 meters. Well, now it's 80 meters. Well, now it's 100 meters. Like, you are going to exhaust me, okay? Because you keep moving the post. So when someone gains weight, that heart that was designed only for 50 meters now has to go 100. And of course, your heart is beating like every second, Melissa, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it has to go further every single time to get blood pumped around a larger parameter. Your blood vessels have to work harder to get it to the extremities, which are now so much further away. Okay, so that's why the weight is a problem for high blood pressure, but also what's the blood viscosity like? How thick is that blood?
Mm.
Because the truth is, if I'm going to pour water from one container to another, this is so easy, zippity doo dah day. I'm going to take honey. Let's go back to our other conversation and let's get that honey out of the jar. It's thick, it's sugary. Wow, sorry, this is taking a really long time. And so when we have thick blood because we're dehydrated or it's sugary, now that heart, even if you're not heavy, now that heart has to work that much harder to pump thick blood around. How quickly is that blood getting to your extremities? How quickly is it getting to your brain when you have some thinking to do? And this is constant, right? Because it's not 1 minute and, okay, I'll give you a break of the honey. It's constantly thick, right? So it's high blood pressure is a problem because of the viscosity of the blood and also the parameter in which the body has to do that. And then, of course, if you're not working out or exercising, your muscles get weak and your heart is a muscle, your veins and artery are covered by smooth muscle tissue, and then they don't have the capacity to actually pump because they're weak. So there's a lot of factors here. And as far as insulin resistance goes, well, insulin resistance is literally a cholesterol buildup. So if your arteries are having plaque on them and there's cholesterol in the bloodstream, well, that pathway in which, that straw you were using that was bringing in lots of water into your mouth is now half its size. That's a lot of work to suck up that whole glass because the cholesterol and the plaquing are creating that issue. So it's not the insulin resistancy that's so much of a problem, but what has caused insulin resistancy that's a problem for high blood pressure. And maybe this is all too much information.
No, this is fantastic because so many people suffer from high blood pressure. I didn't even know it was going on with me until I almost died. So
yes.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a silent killer. And all it takes, and let me tell you, I have been able to manage my blood pressure. I don't have high blood pressure right now. I don't have high cholesterol. I was on the verge of sugar diabetes. I was able to reverse all of that with some major changes in my food. I used to always eat rice and pasta and potatoes, and bread is my favorite food item. Pizza is my favorite food. So I used to eat all of that, and it was part of my life. Now it's not. Now I practice a healthy life. I eat healthy, and I still incorporate that every once in a while into my life because I'm not letting go of that pizza. But anyway, anyway,
I'm gonna pray for you, Mr. Food Plane.
please, yeah, I need deliverance. I need deliverance.
You know what?
Okay.
If anybody asks me, okay, Carolyn, what is your favorite food? Okay, ask me what's my favorite food.
Carolyn, what's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Oh, there you go.
I'm
There
not
you go.
kidding.
You know
But
what
I
you're
have
talking about.
I have learned to take my pizza love and get a gluten-free crust, load it with grilled veggies, extra sauce, and no cheese. It is like
What?
I love it
Do
with a
you hear
big
that,
salmon
people?
first. What's that?
Carolyn getting down.
I love pizza. I mean, I grew up, this is maybe it's a nostalgic thing, but
Yeah.
as soon as mom got paid, we knew that was the day for pizza with a can of Coke. Like that was our treat. And so uh maybe I have pizza 3 times a year, maybe. I don't really eat pizza a lot, but I love it. And I get the love for pizza, but it doesn't have to like, throw you into the blood pressure situation, which by the way, you said it, like statistically, almost 50% of the American population has been diagnosed with high blood pressure. That's diagnosed with high blood pressure.
Yeah.
How about all the people that have high blood pressure and are not going to their doctors to have it recorded as high blood pressure?
Yeah.
I'd say probably 75% of the population is hypertensive.
Wow. That's crazy. And I can imagine those that have not been diagnosed and and would have passed away. I could have passed away and I wouldn't have known nothing. And yeah, so that's yeah, take care of yourself, people. It's so important. And like she said, we are literally what we eat. There's one question here. I saw Dr. Vibe, I saw you. He stopped in. Appreciate you stopping in. So, of Salt and Silence Poetry, first of all, she says, thank you so much. This has been very informative. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. All right. So she says, if you could design the ideal first week, if you could design the ideal first 6 weeks of postpartum from a nutrition standpoint, what would it look like? Great question.
Yeah, that's a good question. What you really want to focus on, especially if you're breastfeeding, is that you need high water concentrated foods and you need a real calcium rich diet. So you do want to have those big salads. Those are full of water. That helps with the milk. You do want to have like your cooked spinach, your cooked kale, your broccoli. Well, broccoli could make you or the baby a little gassy, but you want those leafy greens cooked and not raw in your salad. I would be loading myself with chickpeas, high in
Oh,
calcium,
yeah.
black
Oh, yeah.
beans, high in iron, kidney
Yes.
beans.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm a fully plant-based eater, and that's the diet I recommend. But you want lots of water concentration in your meals. So a bowl of fruit for breakfast. Don't have a meal without having a salad first. And make sure that there's a good portion, at least half a cup of cooked greens with every meal, with about a half to 3/4 cup of beans.
Oh, so why is that? Why? Because most people, when they think salad, they don't think cooked.
No, so I'm saying have a raw salad
Okay.
followed by cooked greens and
Got
cooked
it.
beans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
That makes sense.
not cooked salad. You need that raw salad so that the water isn't cooked out because your
Got it.
body needs that,
Okay. Got
especially
it.
for nursing moms.
Yeah. What? So we're winding down soon. So what greens do you normally use in your salad? Iceberg, it's like cardboard. I don't know if there's any nutritional value in that. So romaine or arugula, spinach, kale. What are you using?
That's a great question. So I don't subscribe to eating a lot of raw cruciferous. So I don't really eat a lot of raw kale or cabbage. I don't even really put spinach in my salad. I mostly start with a bed of romaine, or I use green leaf and red leaf lettuce a lot. I have the privilege of having a juice bar. And
Yeah.
so we get all our vegetables in there organic. So I usually start with that. I'll throw a handful of arugula in there, celery, cucumber, radishes. Sometimes I'll grate either beets or carrots on top. I do a lot of sprouting. So
Yeah.
I put my organic sprouts on there.
Living food.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, I mix my own sauerkraut. So I ferment the cabbage so it's easier to digest. So I throw some
Nice.
sauerkraut on there. I
Oh,
mean, I love
yeah.
my salads. And unless I'm fasting, there isn't a day without one, like
Yeah.
literally.
Oh man.
And I put a nice lemon juice, olive oil dressing so that I avoid
Yes.
vinegars and store-bought dressings. And yes,
Yes.
this is my actual breakfast every morning.
Wow. Well, look how good you look. So it's working. It's working.
Thank you.
So, Carolyn, what led to Energy Shack Juice Bar? You're on. I think. Did you open a second location?
We didn't open a second location. We bought a second business, which is a gluten-free bakery, and we put the two businesses under one roof because
Okay.
they were just 5 minutes apart from each other.
Okay. So, what led to Energy Shack?
Well, since I jumped on this plant-based journey at such a young age, at 17, I was married at 24, and my husband was not plant-based, but loves salads and vegetables. So he was fine with me cooking fully plant-based. And because I saw the changes that happened in me, I was determined that my kids, my entire family, were going to be plant-based. So I started creating all these plant-based meals. And of course, your kids are like, I don't want to eat lentils and kale. Like, my friend doesn't eat that. So I started getting very creative with the meals and just making food fun. And
Yeah.
especially as they became to be, young, early teenagers, and all their friends were going to get ice caps and all these hot chocolates. And I don't want that. So we started creating these things at home. We started making our own vegan ice cream and our
Yes.
own vegan,
Mhm.
hot chocolates that have no chocolate, carob
Yeah.
instead, so there's no caffeine.
Yeah.
And they were bringing their friends to my house instead of going to Tim Hortons. So it started to become, kind of the joke that one day we're going to open like a vegan Tim's and make everything
Wow.
healthy. And then
Wow.
it happened that as a nutritionist, I was just working with a chiropractic doctor who said, I've got this place in Scarborough, and I'd love to have you start a juice bar here in one of my offices. And my husband and I went to look at it, and he's like, listen, I'm not going to be in somebody's office. Let's just take over a whole unit and get this show on the road. And we
Wow.
had 3 months to get a business together. It was
Wow.
wild. So, one child started working on the website, another child started working on the menu board, another child was just the full-time taste tester. My husband started finding vendors, and all of this while everyone's in school and work full time. But it came
Wow.
together, and the Energy Shack was born about 10 years ago.
Wow. So is Scarborough near Toronto?
Yeah, we are on the east side of Toronto, east and a little north. So I could be in Toronto if there was no traffic in 20 minutes. If there is traffic, maybe an hour.
Okay. So what's the specific? So it's a place that people could just walk in, right?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
walk in, you can grab a
What's the
juice.
address?
1970 Ellesmere Road in Scarborough.
In
So you could
Canada.
just Google search Energy Shack Juice Bar,
Right.
and the address will come up on Google. I'm not sure how many Canadians are watching today, but yes,
Yeah.
that is where we're at.
Yep. There's Carolyn's information. EnergyShackJuiceBar.com. That's her website. There's so much info. There's so much help in there. She's on Instagram, the Energy Shack Juice Bar, and she has a YouTube channel called it. She's at the Energy Shack Juice Bar. Wow. Also, don't forget, if you just let her know, hey, I saw you on the pot, $49 for a personal bespoke consultation. That is amazing. Take advantage of that. It is worth it. You are worth it. So make sure you do that. And also make sure next week to join me for part 2. Dr. Tashi is coming back and we're going to talk about tech and radio. Is there going to come a day where we won't have radio anymore? Interesting. Dr. Tashi has something to say about that. We'll be here next week, 6:30 p.m. live Eastern Standard Time. Carolyn, we have to do this again because we just got started. We prefaced. There's so much I want to know about Energy Shack Juice Bar. I want to know about your juices, all the programs. You got a retreat. You got so much going on. And I really enjoy the videos that you put out on Instagram where you have this garden and you oh man, it's a lot of fun. I love that. Dr. Tashi says, this was great. I'm glad you found it great, Dr. Tashi. This was amazing. It was. Carolyn Nichol, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to get a hold of you because, again, we need a part 2 for this. I might need a part 3 and 4. It might be a series. So, yeah, I'll get a hold of you soon. Thank you so much for being here. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. I sincerely appreciate it. Check out our channel, The Food Plane. We're loaded with fun food facts. We're loaded with delicious recipes from around the world. Episode 1 of America's Best Food Destinations is now available to watch. And Dr. Tashi was here yesterday, so you might want to give that a watch. It was so much fun talking about the 80s and 90s, the toys, the foods, the music, the movie. It was a lot of fun, and we're going to continue that conversation next week with Dr. Tashi. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you next week. Carolyn, thank you.
Thank you.